evening, and we have the most enterprising person, Pratna Kaul, and she is the founder of Giftable. So, it's very important to know the kind of journey that she has in terms of livelihood that she has created over years. And more exciting is to listen to, the way she puts across and expressing the songs and the dance that she has, and thoroughly enjoying the journey as what she has started off. So, a warm welcome to you, Pratna, and we're
Thank
very
you.
excited to know about your journey. Most welcome.
Thank you so much, Shanti.
So, our journey started from the TCS World Country.
That's true.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the time there we actually met, and then hats off to our friendship too, that we have actually
Stayed
evolved for the
connected.
last, yeah, stayed
Yeah.
connected for the last 10 years and more. So that
Wow.
keeps us going great. And that's very important as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Pratya, like if you ever, your connection with, especially abled children is very deep down. And in everything that you have so much of passion. So can you just tell me like what made you think to start Giftable, and why so much of dedication towards the disability and inclusion? How did you see your journey evolving from the beginning, and how did you get into this?
Okay. So, Giftable started in 2013. Just to give a bit of background, I moved from corporate world to social sector almost 2 decades back, and during that phase, so initially I was with IBM. From IBM, I joined iVolunteer, and during that phase, worked closely with volunteers, different NGOs, and while working with different volunteers and NGOs working on different issues, realized how disability as a cause comes to bottom of pyramid. Now, during this phase, I also met Pratik, who is co-founder and my better half. And somewhere small little incidences made us realize, hey, disability requires a lot of attention.
Absolutely.
As simple as I remember, 16, 17 years back, I learned sign language. And whenever I used to go and, be excited meeting any deaf, go running and saying, hey, hi, my name is Prarthana. Immediate response used to be, hey, are you deaf? Or is someone in your family deaf? And I
Oh,
used to wonder, like, hey, I am saying, hi, I'm Pratna. Why this person is asking me, are you deaf? If I would say, I am Pratna, you would say, I am Shanti. And
yes.
for those little moments, you actually realize that they think this is their society, this is our society. And if I am actually doing sign language, maybe someone in my family is deaf, that's why I have picked up, right? And
Yeah.
so end up saying no because I like and I want to volunteer, I pick this up. And somewhere to change that mindset of, hey, it's not your society, our society, it's an inclusive world.
Society.
But then if you think deep down, it wasn't that inclusive. If I was not even if I was asked this again and again, hey, are you deaf? More than replying, what is your name? Then we were still way, behind.
Way behind.
And
True.
there was some event in Pratik's office, which was, and he was also in corporate world, and he said, hey, I have to give some gifts for my, event that is happening, and I'm doing a event with all the low vision children and visually impaired children. And immediate response that I gave him was, hey, let's give them musical instrument.
Oh,
And for
wow.
a minute, we both paused and we said, not necessary if a person is blind, he or she will like music. But what
Okay.
happened at that moment was immediately we thought, hey, maybe the person can't see, but maybe that person would love music. And that was the day we realized, leave aside the job, the education, the basic awareness is missing, right? The only
Absolutely.
difference between that person and me is I can see, that person can't see. Maybe I don't like music or I like music. Maybe that person likes or doesn't like. And
Yeah, that's a different thing.
these small little incidences made us realize no, there's a huge gap. We started Giftable with whole idea of understanding gap, how we can spread awareness. We started doing a lot of sign language awareness sessions and all. And there was one day, one volunteer posted saying, "Hey, I learned alphabets in sign language. Afternoon, I go to this MG Road Metro. I see a pottery artist doing nice pots." And she goes there and she realizes he's deaf. I would have told about him. So she was like, "I've heard about him. Let me go and say hi to him and tell my name." So she goes there and she tries saying, "Hey, hi, my name is Lekya." And the immediate response she got was, "Hey, are you volunteer?"
Oh,
Right now, the mindset shift has started happening where are you deaf to are you volunteer? And that's the change that probably at least that some
oh,
percentage
yes,
change
yes,
that had started happening slowly. Then we started going to rural parts of country, different areas, understanding the gaps, meeting different organizations. And today, probably after 12 to 13 years of journey, we've been working in different parts of country. We started working in aspirational districts 4 5 years back. We work on health, education, and livelihood of
lovely.
right from child with disability to youth with disabilities, early intervention, early education, so that we can support children at early age, to working on livelihood, whether it is teaching them through vocational training or doing some industry ready courses and making them industry ready. So, uh,
Wow,
yeah,
it's a huge
in
thing.
short, that's what we do at Giftable. And at other end, working closely with different organizations, corporates, to make sure more and more people with disabilities start getting included in the workplace.
Lovely, lovely. Actually, the reason I just kept off that mentioning the title, because I was waiting to hear this journey and see how beautifully we have chosen this title called Ability Over Disability.
Wow.
And the way of example that you have mentioned about, how it has gone from awareness to understanding, where a person is talking about, are you a volunteer? So
Right.
most of the time we were thinking that, okay, if you have a person with a disability at home and then we take the thing. But your journey has been a little different to and saying that I don't have, but I still want to do this, right?
Right.
So that makes adds a lot of value, and that's why we call it as building an inclusion, an inclusive future. So that's the whole topic for this thing. And you very aptly started off with the kind of explanation of saying how giftability started off. So, but even now when we do a lot of work and we know we are looking at scalability, sustainability and all that, still somewhere social entrepreneurship is actually still looked at a lens of charity, and
Hmm.
many projects close off. How do you think that we could, because you also come from the corporate, so how
Hmm.
do you think that we could actually have this shift of mindset to say that, it's like, your social entrepreneurship is more of capacity building or capability in building some opportunities. I mean, it's also, a dignity
Yeah.
oriented. So I'm sure we all have faced this, right? Most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. That's true. At the end, if you have to run the show, you for sure have to make money, and to
Might
make
make
money,
money. Yes,
that mindset is required. The only probably change between any entrepreneur and probably social entrepreneur is we are doing
it's
business
for a
for
cause.
a cause, right? So somewhere enabling people at the same time, how do you actually also have that business mindset is very important. Um Coming up with, say, for example, like you said, if I have to get a charity model, I'll still be making some candles, and I would get that pity, and I would say, okay, buy because this is made by a person with disability.
Definitely.
Versus today, the change is, I'll just give you an example. Like 5 years back, we started projects in aspirational districts. So we had done some research around aspirational district, and India has around 112 aspirational districts, and we chose
Oh,
four of them,
oh,
where hardly any work was happening, and probably the need was so high that leave aside for people with disabilities. For people without disabilities, also nothing much was happening. So,
Ah,
can we start small little projects there? And not that everything was successful, but there were
yeah,
failures as well. But like they say, you keep learning and growing.
absolutely.
And 5 years back, we identified some 15, 20 youth with disabilities, with different disabilities. And we said, let us train them on certain skills. It could be like masala making, it could be stitching, bag making. And these were youth, most of them were either doing nothing at home, some of them were either begging on streets,
Oh,
or that's the only option, right? So nobody is there to guide. And what do? You just either lie down at home and keep thinking, "Acha, aage kya?" Or you just go out, beg on streets. And we said, let's see if something can be done. And you won't believe, out of those 15, 20 people, four of them became master trainers.
wow.
They trained another, say, 100 people with disabilities in those villages. So today there are hundreds of people with disabilities who have at least now started living a dignified life, from begging on streets to earning on their own and supporting their family. I think that's true sustainability or social entrepreneurship, not just focusing on cities, but also going in actually
Deep.
where the need is, right?
Actually, where
70%
the need
of
is.
India is rural India.
Rural India.
So can
True,
we focus
true.
there? Can we enable people over there? But at the same time, there are times when we would say, "Acha, ye bag banaya, but the quality is not good." You'll
Yeah.
have to remake it. So it is not out of sympathy angle, but it is out of empathy, saying, earn because this is the best product. So that's what is needed. Like, a mix of
Yeah.
social,
Yeah.
but at the same time, empathizing the whole cause.
Thank you for bringing out this point. Actually, even if you see during Diwali time or
Yeah,
during Christmas, so the main USB to sell a product becomes, oh, these are just created by children with disability.
right,
Do we
right.
need to use that as a key selling point for us? Or do we say that it is done by these people? And I mean, it's just so-called normal inclusive society. So we have such wonderful bags.
Correct.
And why don't you sell that out?
Yeah, buy
And
them because it is worth buying.
it's worth buying. Not
Yeah,
that you need to buy a product because of sympathy. Then again, we
exactly.
are bringing in that bifurcation in the
Yeah,
society,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, if an organization or an occasional unit who wants to set up something like this, I mean, there are many, I'm sure, but
Hmm.
do you think there should be some amount of mind shift for those entrepreneurs itself who are actually selling their products, and after a period of time, selling becomes difficult?
Yeah, I think even before starting, you should have that mindset that, okay, if you're setting this unit, then make sure you're setting it up because you will try and make it sustainable. Otherwise, the whole point of setting it up is gone. I would want to set it up, I would try to do charity out of it, and if it doesn't work, you are closing the center, then the whole, uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So actually, many people go through this cycle, and some of them close the unit because they're not getting funds.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on funds should no longer be a,
So
yeah.
thank you for bringing out this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Instead, you should
One,
use those funds for doing projects on ground. So this has to run like a proper,
uh,
if you are doing something,
organization.
yeah, like a proper, private limited company also.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
think that mind shift has to happen for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs who are starting this, right? So, Giftable is actually engaged with more than 25,000 volunteers as of now, right?
Right.
So, what role does these volunteers play, and how actually are these people creating inclusion? Some, just about the model, how it works, because that's a huge number.
Yeah, so we worked with both educational institutes, corporates, individual volunteers. So it's a mix of different volunteers coming from different skills, different education, right? So I think what is more important is understanding what any person wants to do and giving those right opportunities. Now, just to give you an example, during pandemic, we had almost 3,000 people who signed up saying, I want to volunteer
Wow.
virtually. And we were one of very few organizations who quickly moved to virtual mode, started doing a lot of awareness sessions like sign language
Yeah.
sessions, different mentoring sessions. And I still remember we were thinking, how do we engage all the 3,000 volunteers at one end?
Wow.
But at other end, we started getting calls from people who are visually impaired who would say, I have nobody to help me, read the books. Previously, people used to come and read books, but now that facility is not there. Who can
There.
guide me? There were a lot of acid attack victims who said, I'm stuck at home. Can someone teach me even small bakery making sessions?
Sessions.
No, and slowly we started thinking that people who would say, I have gone back to my home, I don't know how, apart from WhatsApp, I don't know how to use all the online platforms that are there. How do I join meeting? How do I face interviews? And slowly all these things got matched so well that today we have a digital library where there are thousands of books recorded. I would say not just for visually impaired, but also
Good.
for children who do not have access to bedtime stories,
Better.
right?
Wow.
Orphanages and all. At the same time, there were a lot of youth who started getting mentors who could guide them how they could proceed in their career. So I think at times it is just how you match. People read books for visually impaired. People start working on education material that is
Wow.
required.
Wow.
Opportunities are many, whatever
Many.
cost it is. Probably when people want to volunteer and they get right opportunities, they're just there with you for long
A
time. They're
long time.
volunteering as and when possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every volunteer who gives time for any cause creates a huge impact.
Huge impact because their heart is there to do something. Otherwise, they will not
That's
come out
true.
to do volunteering. The
Yeah,
best part is actually COVID has taught all of us a huge thing that how to use technology and how to
correct.
connect through technology. And it's not that
Yeah.
it's not possible. I still remember the days when I started off with Adobe and I paid for huge for the license. And I said, let's
Right.
do something online.
Ah,
I said, okay, this is an online training. You won't believe I had some five, six educators. My door is locked in RT Nagar office. But they were going and standing and waiting for me to come and open the door.
wow.
So I said, no, you need to just join over your laptop or your phone. And this is how
Wow.
it was. And I found it so difficult for people to join online and do something like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
After COVID, it really became a game changer and saying, yeah, we could do lot many things and virtually learn, do so many things actually. Thanks
yeah.
for bringing this out. And it also sets me to the next thing. Like as we start as social entrepreneurs, right? We start with the point of saying, yeah, I could make those changes. But then as we go, like any other corporates which talks about, impact, I mean, in terms of all numbers, we can't talk huge numbers because you can't quantify it many a times, like
Mhm.
how a corporate does. Do you ever have this kind of a challenge sometimes? Like, because everything is not quantifiable.
Right. Right. Many a times we do, as in we do lot of awareness, sensitization. So many a times we get this reply saying, "Hey, I don't even have a person with disability in my office. So why do I sensitize my team?" Right?
Oh,
And then you would have someone, but then that's not their fault, right?
fault.
You will have to come up in a way that they understand that maybe now you don't have a person with disability in your
Maybe later you will see.
team, but then maybe tomorrow you may hire someone who is awesome in the job and is a person with disability. So
True.
those scenarios are there. At the same time, there are a lot of organizations who would take that step to do a lot of sensitization, make sure the place is accessible, make sure they hire people with disabilities. And we've seen that change over years. Now, many organizations, whether big or small, are investing
a lot.
In making sure their workplace is accessible at the
Accessible.
same time inclusive, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of changes in the higher education also. Indian
exactly.
Institute of Science is doing a lot, IIT is doing a lot. So
Yeah.
now, if you want to see, and if you think that, what kind of the policies, or do you see, I know there's a huge gap. So with
Right.
the kind of work that you've done over the last 10 years, what is the kind of training, or what do you think as an institution or schools or universities prepare, and how do you think they should prepare themselves to look at inclusion as not something is a very challenging thing, but it's a norm to go forward.
Yeah, so I think basic thing is making your infrastructure and website accessible. And to be frank, it's not that huge investment. You have made so much of investing in making that building. Can I make it accessible so that there are more and more children with disabilities? Can I make my websites accessible? Again, not a huge investment. Can I make my website accessible so that tomorrow if there is someone who is visually impaired who is visiting my website feels good that hey, I am joining this institute and it is inclusive. This is one of the basic thing, but then small little things, making awareness about disability inclusion, making sure the teachers are more and more inclusive, right? So making more and more even one or two trainings a year for all the teachers to just understand how inclusion is important. Volunteering, can children with and without disabilities volunteer? Right, small little things, volunteering, making infrastructure accessible. Simple thing like if we have so many annual days, we have so many events that happen in school. Can the products that are used for those events be procured from organizations like Giftable who are already doing those products, right? So tomorrow, just like I said, all the people in UP, they are now making bags, they are now making garments, t-shirts, school uniforms. Now if you
Yeah.
start thinking small thing like this, tomorrow if I say okay, my school has 100 children and all school children will procure their uniform from organization. I'm just taking my name because I'm talking representing Giftable, but any organization who is working for a cause, imagine the kind of support that is happening.
Support you will get mutually, actually it's very, very important. But yeah, the lot of training is what we were talking about, and then
Awareness
everything.
is very important. Yeah, yeah.
And also, as what you said was very beautiful. They should be very mindful from the beginning itself to say what I can start doing from even the smallest thing of making children volunteer and
Correct.
helping them, and not making them in the terms of saying in a competition mode, oh, I'm always competing. I've seen children, they say, I don't want to share notes.
Now that's true. And also, if you see Shanti now, if I go number wise, almost 60 to 70% of children, or even more, I would say these are little low estimations, but almost 70-80% of children get dropped out in high school because they have
High
a
school.
disability, right?
Yes,
If
yes.
our infrastructure is accessible, at one end, corporates are looking for talent pool, but at other end, if our education system is not accessible,
Accessible.
will we get that talent pool? How will that match happen? Right? How can I make
True.
my environment more and more inclusive? I think educational institutes play a huge role. Although there has been a good improvement, but we still have a long way to go.
Long way to go. Long way to
Yeah,
go. Thanks,
because
Pratna, for
today, if
bringing
you see
this.
one or two schools who has, say, 5-10 children with disabilities, we would be like, oh my God, that school has 10 children with disabilities. But if you see the number of children with disabilities in India, every school should have at least in one class 5 to 10% of children with disabilities, which is not happening. So it's not that one school has to be role model. It has to be like part of the.
Every school, it should be part of the curriculum to say, yes, part of the system to say, yes, I am. So the main challenge, what I also feel is what you were saying, the policies are there. We have the best of policies, but the
Yeah,
only challenge that we see is
implementation.
implementation part of it. And the best part is there are a lot of teachers who say, I don't know about it. Oh, is it that you have an exemption, especially in the state boards? They say, oh, is there something like this?
That's where
I'm not
more
aware.
awareness would
Yeah,
play
we
a
need to,
role.
yeah,
Yeah,
we need to play. And sometimes, even if they know, they feel where and how, when, why should I take up that
right,
extra
right.
edge to,
Yeah,
accommodate a child to do something like this?
yeah, yeah.
So, so don't you feel sometimes there needs to be a lot of attitudinal change?
It has to happen. Yeah, yeah,
If the institutions don't think of accepting people and then doing this, then I think it is a huge challenge actually. So
yeah.
today, Pratna, to see such a beautiful journey you've had, can you share maybe one or two experiences that's been very close to your heart and you always cherish it every time because you've also been with I Volunteer, and then you have a memory of being in IBM, and then you come here and then you do this. So maybe one from the volunteer part and then one from starting your own thing and you feel a wow thing, when something goes really well, right? All of us feel that
Yeah.
and we cherish that memory so well. So I'm sure you would have some things, a lot of things which you could resonate.
Lots of them, right from my first lesson, where I remember during IBM days, we used to volunteer during weekends. And I still remember first time when I went to volunteer, it was Samarthanam Trust.
Oh,
And I went as a reader. So I said, let me go with a colleague and read books for someone who's blind. And me and my friend had gone there, and I still remember they were talking about the organization, saying we do this, we do that, and we have habit of nodding our head. And I was like, "Mhm." And the person who was
okay.
actually telling the whole story was visually impaired, and she was like telling nicely, we do this, you will be doing this, you will be volunteering for this person, and I was like. And I was just nodding my head. And then slowly my friend taps me and she says, can't see. So you need to be at least a little vocal and say you are listening. So I was like, oh yeah. And that was probably the first learning years back, 2 decades
Way
back.
you respond, the way you respond.
So yeah, and it need not be loud also. Yeah, okay, because it's just that they're visually impaired. They are not deaf. So many a times we end up saying because someone is blind, we would just scream and say, hey, yeah, I understood, and the person would be like talk in normal tone, right? So, so I think from those days where understanding disability to today working deeply in the cause.
Yeah,
During the days civic issues, uh,
yeah.
working for different causes, whether it was children, whether it was elderly welfare, whether it was civic issues, whether it was disability, any cause. I think every cause I had some or the other memory, and I was like, oh my God, as in this is there to learn. Right? Two, I remember night 10:30, I get a call from Shankar, who has multiple disabilities. So he is
Oh,
blind plus he has half hand. So he calls me at night 10:30 and I was like, is everything okay? And he was like, ma'am, one of my friend is crying for past 1 or 2 hours. And I said, what's it like? Let me know if we can help in any way. And this was even like, pre-COVID days. So
oh,
you have to. So I still remember this was almost a decade back, and I was like, yeah, don't worry, we will. He said he's crying tomorrow morning. He has exam, and the scribe has dropped out.
oh,
And I was like, don't worry, let's try. Most of us are there on social media, no? Someone or the other would help. No, ma'am, you are in Bangalore. This person who needs help is in Bagalkot, which is almost like
oh,
overnight journey. And we said, don't worry, let's try. So I posted on my social media, and I still remember within 10 minutes, I had 3 volunteers who said, hey, I am closer to Bagalkot, or I am in Bagalkot, I can go and help. So we called this person. We said, hey, don't cry. We have arranged for volunteer for not just tomorrow, but also you have 3, 4 other exams. It is arranged. So don't worry, focus on your studies. And within 15 minutes, we had a scribe arranged for them. I did not go. I just played that role of posting on social media, got the volunteer. He had his exam, he finished his exam. 5, 6 years back, we were doing Global Accessibility Awareness Day in one of the corporates in Tute, and I still remember there were 50, 60 leaders sitting in front of us. This was like a big event, and the team comes and they say, hey, meet Chandru, is visually impaired. He's joined our HR team. And he was happy we are doing accessibility event and he wanted to speak for 5 minutes. And I said, yeah, why not? And I did quick mobility, like, after so many steps, people are sitting. This is where I am there. If you need, my colleague is here. And if you need any help, let us know.
Then let us know.
And my name is Prarthana, and I am founder of Giftable. So there was a pause for 5, 10 seconds. And after that, he says, ma'am, are you Prarthana? And from Giftable, I was like, yeah, is everything okay? And then he said, 2 years back, night 10:30, I was crying because I did not have a scribe. You helped me with the scribe. I passed
Wow.
that exam with distinction. And today here I am working in HR department. So a change
Wow.
that 15 minutes could get, probably if nobody would have gone, he would have lost that year, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
that's the impact probably of volunteering. Too, I remember going to old age homes where there was one granny who always used to say, can you send me a volunteer who could speak to me for 3 minutes? I was like, 3 minutes? And she used to always say, hey, I have 6 children, all well to do, all are in Bangalore. I am in a old age home, and I still want to believe that there are youth who
Still
will
true.
come speak to me, read paper for me just for 5, 10 minutes or 3 minutes. That would create impact, and that's the kind of impact, I think. If 5, 10 minutes if we can create so much of impact,
Wow.
imagine we all giving an hour of our time, so much of impact we can create around.
Wow. This is an amazing story because we are always, in the mode of planning to say like, okay, what do I get?
Yeah, yeah,
Always, okay, so it's like, oh, what is in it for me? What is in it for me? And I think we've lost that flair of teaching, to give.
yeah,
If
yeah.
our parents used to teach us like saying, no, if you carry, sometimes if, I don't know if you could remember that, they put some extra food today, though your friends may like this, so you take this and go.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think we are losing out on that flavor of
Sometimes
giving
we
actually.
yeah, we don't realize the kind of impact small acts would have taken. Like, I used to also volunteer for Make a Wish Foundation. Now they collect wishes, most cherished wish of children who are going through terminally ill
Yeah, terminal illness.
age, right? So, and I still remember the first wish that was fulfilled in Bangalore. And the person who was leading it in Bangalore, Vijay sir, he had shared, like, the wish was, can I get a golden fish in a fish pond? And
Wow.
the child had not had food for almost 2, 3 days. And because I think he had throat cancer, and uh, this wish, so this is the first wish. So he went, he got he went to aquarium and he told about the cause. The aquarium guy was very happy and he gave a soft toy of fish as well along with that.
Oh,
When
lovely.
they took it to the child, immediately as soon as the child saw the fish, he was like, Amma, can I have some food? Now, a small little wish getting fulfilled, or we volunteering and giving this. I have been part of such
Amazing.
wishes many times. That time when, we've given a teddy bear to someone who was in hospital, and the kid says, okay, I'm giving this teddy bear a name which is Prarthana. And for me, it is like, oh my God, as in someone who's just spent 5, 10 minutes with me, had some fun time, smile time in that hospital, on that bed where, right? So, yeah,
I think,
that's the impact we can create.
no, seriously, giving, we always think of one material kind at well, but that little time that you give, and the time is like which people don't want to give.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's been my understanding. Oh, why should I spend time? Why should I go? Why should? But the beautiful example, that you've given about a child just waiting for a golden fish, and then that's a simple wish actually,
Yeah,
but that makes an immense difference to a child
it
who's going through
does.
so
It
much of
does.
an ailment,
Yeah, yeah.
and then saying, "Yeah, I just want to have food." It's amazing, and there's like so much to learn around in life, right? Thank you, Pratna, for bringing this out. And I myself I've started thinking like, okay, how could this really, never thought about volunteering. Of course, I know it is good, but honestly, I've not done much of volunteering. But now, listening to you, I think I should also dedicate a little more time to say what I could do more to people, that can make a difference as well. So, coming to my last question of saying that, what is the biggest advice to people, or what is the thing that you feel? Because we are all looking and working towards change, and India is a country which has got the highest youth, and we're
Yeah.
also going to go down in 2020, 2040, 2045. That will certainly dip down. But this is a peak time for us to contribute to make those changes. Three things or two things that you think the current youth should bear in mind out, and also like if they also should not only about the job, but this entrepreneurship mindset of giving
Yeah.
is so important. So what do you think, and what would be your take to the people?
I think, see, technology, AI, everything is playing a key role these days. So we've become more of like, techie, techie, techie.
Take
But
it.
sometimes, like you mentioned, right, there is a lot of requirement on ground. If a tech is playing that role of enabling us, or playing that role of making sure, say for example, in case of people with disabilities, technology is playing role to help them perform at par with non-disabled, right? Now similarly, when a youth is planning to do something for a cause or probably join the sector, they need to also understand that presence on the ground is very important.
Very
Technology
true.
will not always be there. It would be there wherever it is required, and it would help us perform at next level. But to work with people on ground, say for example, I was talking about the youths
Old
in
lady.
UP, or
Yes.
right, the
See,
children.
technology, even though it reads, as you said, it would not make an impact for the old lady who's sitting in an old
Exactly.
age home
Exactly.
comparatively to a person going and spending that time,
Right.
and just having that few conversations that makes her feel so happy.
Right. So going on ground, working, understanding the cause, and making that impact is much, much needed. So it has to be a nice mix of working on ground, making use of technology, and working towards development.
Thank you, Pratna. But now, since we are always into training of educators, and so what do you think one good thought process, because you're working more on the livelihood, and we also know there's a huge
Right.
gap. So, how do you think educators can contribute more or make some, even the kind of mind shifts that they need to do, not only in terms of inclusion, but to look at quality and, have that empathetic world around?
I think just being more aware about different things, that's very important. I'm not an expert in the field, but then if you see, slowly I started picking up things, right? I started learning from my colleagues who have disability, who do not have disability. At every stage,
Yeah.
you start learning. Someone who is visually impaired in our organization is today doing training for someone who is neurodivergent, right? Someone who
Wow.
is on wheelchair has a team of 30, 40 people. Half of them are people with disabilities. And he is managing them so efficiently. So I think for educators, it is just spend some time. I would say again, volunteer, understand what more can be done. at the end, it is like, the kind of ripple impact that you are creating. And for that, you'll have to understand the ground realities. Sitting here, say, if I wouldn't have started projects in UP, I remember Pratik when he said we will start in UP, and I was like, no connection there. What are we going to, neither my
True.
relatives are there, nor your relatives are there, nor we know anybody over there. But then today, that is one of the project that we are proud about. Last time I was there, I still remember I was sitting and there was like a 7, 8 year old kid who comes to me. He holds my hand and I was like, Naitik, walk pe jana hai, and there was no response. So I realized he had severe autism. He was non-vocal, but somewhere he held my hand. He was walking along with me, and I do a lot of energizers for children, and I was doing it with all children with different disabilities. I was like, shake your hand, do this, do that. Suddenly, I see Naitik is going and banging his head on the wall. And I was like,
Oh,
so I called all the, like, the core team, and they were like, don't worry, ma'am, he has kept his hand. So he won't hurt himself.
okay,
And when
just
I,
now.
yes, so when I was like, oh my God, smart kid, but why is he doing that? And that's when I realized they said, ma'am, 3, 4 months back, we identified him. And for 6 years, he was tied with rope in the corner of the house. And we identified him. For 3 months, he is coming to our center. And today, the change is when he looks at other children, when he meets different people. From just two people in house, parents who are farmers who used to tie, go work, come back, remove that rope, to today he's got
Oh,
that freedom of,
freedom.
right. So he would just run, he would just hit himself, but
It's a way
to
of expression.
way of expression. And this change wouldn't have been possible if
He
those
was still
500
tied.
team members wouldn't have done that, right? On ground. So I think it's very important to start working on ground and start working on those ground
Beautiful.
realities.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for bringing this insight. I think as you were speaking about it, I'm also thinking like we should encourage more educators to become volunteers,
Yeah, yeah,
not at the age of retirement, but in their peak
exactly.
career, at least to come down and volunteer, like how corporates are volunteering, we should also expect
Yeah,
educators to volunteer somewhere and do more so that the learning becomes different and the connect becomes different.
true, true.
So, as I said, Pratna, it was a huge learning for me as well in the process. And I'm sure people who are listening to our podcast, they get to know your journey because um, most of the people who have started social entrepreneurship would have certain background, would have
Yeah,
certain things to start off with, and otherwise the personal connect you don't have. But a person like you, with not into those things, but the energy that you bring in everything that you do, I definitely admire you, and I wish you all the best in whatever you still continue to do. And I hope some point we would also collaborate and work together. And
sure.
thanks for this. And there's a huge learning is the amount of empathy that you have, and that is the most important aspect which is missing. And moreover, teaching about volunteering.
Yeah,
That one small bit makes a huge difference. Thanks a lot.
thank you so much. Thank you, Shanti.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay.